Very true, Cynthia. When you consider the areas that are at high risk for COVID-19 in this city, that's going to have a direct effect on what families are doing in sending their kids back to school or keeping them at home. Areas like here in Thorncliffe Park, we can tell you that the kids aren't going back as soon as everyone else.
I'm not going because I'm scared.
Nello will be starting grade 4 this year at home. Her family lives in Thorncliffe Park, one of the areas in the city that is considered high risk for new COVID cases. And they're fearful what going back to school would mean.
She's scared because maybe the little kids have coronavirus.
Of the 1,400 students enrolled at Thorncliffe Park Public School, for example, just 57% have indicated they're returning in person at this point, with the TDSB set to return next week.
They're on the list for, it says something about high risk for COVID, and my kid's school is on that list. The problem is the school's overpopulated, and so my concern is how would they keep my kids safe, because in my kids' school they already had about 30 kids, a little bit more than 30 kids, just before the COVID, so are we really sure that they're gonna have 30 kids or less?
A look at the Toronto District School Board overall, 39 of the 80 high-risk schools have less than half the kids registered to return in person right now. As a result, the TDSB has 31 high-risk schools with at least a third of the students confirmed to be moving online at this time.
In schools, we're seeing much higher numbers than we have been told is safe. So even though they are smaller numbers than in other schools across the GTA, what we know is that at these in high-risk neighborhoods, these schools are going to be at higher risk of COVID.
Of the 6 elementary and middle schools considered to be in the Jane Finch community, the number of students returning to class there averages just between 40 and 47%. Getting to and from school in high-density neighborhoods, and it all adds up. More reasons for many to keep children at home.
But I think it's because there's so many apartment buildings. I think the fear is like everyone coming down to go down in the elevator. There isn't really going to be any social distancing, and then they'll all be in school together, and you really don't know what can happen. So I think it's just scary.
Now compare some of the lower numbers in areas like this to the overall numbers. 62% in the TDSB are actually going to school. The Catholic School Board, 69% are going back. And as mentioned in the story, it's much, much lower than that in the high-risk neighborhoods. Now, some kids went back to school in Brampton today. With more on that, Pam Seidel standing by. Pam.